All right, good evening, everyone. This is the Cottage Grove City Council meeting on November 4th, 2020, which I'm calling to order. Before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I did want to read a quick statement. Because of the reduced capacity of our council chambers due to the state's distancing requirements, and recognizing some residents will be more comfortable attending the meeting virtually, we are providing for public input via Zoom. Please visit our website at cottagegrovemn.gov and then click on the public meeting quick links box and then click on the November 4th, 2020 meeting. You'll find a variety of options if you would like to speak during the open forum or on any of the regular agenda items. We want to be transparent, accessible, and inclusive, and we hope these measures will accommodate everyone who wishes to participate in our open and public meetings. So with that, I'll move to the next item, which is the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Will Scott Soroka please do the roll?
Councilmember Olson?
Here.
Councilmember Mills?
Here.
Councilmember Thiede?
Here.
Councilmember Dennis?
Here.
Mayor Bailey?
Here. Next on our agenda is open forum. This is the opportunity for anybody that would like to speak on anything that's not on tonight's agenda is welcome to speak at this time. I did see we have quite a few people signed up. But we'll save those if you're here for the Star Trail or the snowmobile stuff. We'll save those for the actual presentation that we're having a little bit later. And I'm also looking online just to see if there's anybody that's looking at like they want to speak on something on open forum, which it does not appear to be. So nobody in the room. Did we miss anybody that wants to speak on open forum? All right, we'll go ahead and close open forum and we'll move to number 5, which is adoption of the agenda.
Motion to move the agenda.
We have a motion by Councilmember Dennis. Did I hear second by Councilmember Olson? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is presentations. There are none this evening. 7 is consent calendar or consent agenda. Is there anybody or anything that wants to be pulled from consent?
J.
All right. Item J for Councilmember Thiede. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we'll move to item J, which is ash tree removal contract for 2020 and 2021. Mr. Thiede.
Yeah, so I wanted to just have our Public Works Director, Ryan Burfind, explain this a little bit more for people that we're actually having tree trimming contract for a 2-year total of $156,000 and what that does for us and what kind of benefits and those kind of things. So
sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. And tonight on the consent calendar is the tree trimming contract. We do this work each year. The city owns thousands of boulevard trees throughout the community. They're in that 13 to 15 feet, from the back of curb. That's actually owned by the city. And really, when we look at tree trimming, like I said, we have about a 5 or 6 year rotation. The city's growing, so we're looking at expanding it. But there's really 3 main things we're trying to accomplish. One is clearance on the roadway, because these trees are pretty close. They're 5 to 10 feet back of the curb, so we want to make sure we have clearance for larger vehicles like our plow trucks. They're not hitting the trees, so that's one of the main items. Another one is just kind of the general health of the tree. It's good as trees are growing to trim them to make sure we have good, healthy boulevard trees. And the last reason I was really kind of thinking about windstorms. We don't want very thick canopies. We want our trees not, I don't want to say lean, but looking nice and not a lot of branches that they're less likely to blow down in a windstorm, or we're taking down those bad branches ahead of time so they don't come down in a windstorm. So that's kind of the 3 reasons we do this. And like I said, it's on a set rotation through town, and we do a mailing to each of the folks who are going to have this service done so they know what's happening.
okay. Do we know approximately how many trees did you say?
This year, or in total? This year, I think it's about 1,100 trees that we're looking at trimming. It varies year to year, but it's a little bit smaller year in the next 2 years, just based on our rotations. So,
and I guess we've done boulevard trees for a long time, right? And in our new neighborhoods, we're putting boulevard trees in. What's kind of from a landscaping design and city design standpoint, what does that do for us?
I guess, yeah, Councilmember Thiede, boulevard trees, it's a fairly typical thing for a city to have. With each of our new developments, we do require 1 boulevard tree per regular lot, 2 boulevard trees on a corner lot. It's something we've had for quite a while. There's a few areas of town where maybe there was different thoughts at the time where we had more of a front yard tree, but the boulevard trees have been pretty consistent throughout the years. Just to kind of have a nice look, you know, as you're going through neighborhoods as they get older. And right, we have the nice mature trees that we can see and as we drive through.
Okay, all right, thanks.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, seeing no other items on the consent being pulled for discussion, I'll look for a motion to approve consent.
Move consent.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Mills,
Second.
second by Councilmember Thiede. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. If you're here for anything that was on tonight's consent calendar, all of those items have been approved. Next is 8 is approved disbursement. 8A is to pay the bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
We have a motion by Councilmember Dennis,
Second.
second by Councilmember Olson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 9 is public hearings, there are none this evening. 10 is bid awards, there are none this evening. 11 is regular agenda. We do have one item on this evening's agenda, which is the snowmobile ordinance amendment. And so I think what we'll do is actually start, is it with Mr. Rinzel? And I believe, Greg, you have a presentation to give us, and then this is where we'll have people that want to speak on this topic is welcome to do so.
Thank you for the opportunity, Honorable Mayor and Council. I'm going to go over just a quick overview presentation on the snowmobile ordinance and then kind of open it up. Sounds like and looks like we have some people that'll want to discuss this item. So we'll just go through it quick. Cottage Grove has had a long history of snowmobiling. We've had the Star Trail as long as I've been here, which is over 49 years in the city of Cottage Grove. And we've had it primarily on the east side of Cottage Grove with a couple feeder trails that have been around for many years, as long as I can actually recall. We're very fortunate that we have it, and we have a good group of people that are involved with it. A number of them have been over the years volunteers with the police department. So we have a very good working relationship with the Snowmobile Patrol. There are very few options in the Twin Cities metro area. Actually, the east side of the Twin Cities metro and the Star Trail is one of the, I'll call it a star, a jewel for us. This is the current mapping in Cottage Grove. As you can see, there's quite a bit of trail system in Cottage Grove in comparison to other communities. If you look at Woodbury, Woodbury has almost eliminated all trails with the exception of County Road 19 and then Manning Avenue. To the west of us in the metro area, there's really no trail system, and to the northwest, there's no trail system. It's really east and south, kind of bordering the Twin Cities metro area, but really nothing in the hub of the Twin Cities. Where can't you ride by ordinance? So right now by city ordinance, you cannot ride on any boulevards, in any parks, on any school property, on any walkways, trails, and sidewalks, and any area posted as no snowmobiling. And that includes Jamaica Avenue between 70th and East Point Douglas, and that has a long history of when it came to fruition, because that was when Jamaica was expanded and had sidewalks on both ends. So instead of having people driving on people's yards, where people ended up putting up fences, they just, the council decided to eliminate that by ordinance. Here's the current Star Trail map. There's a couple deviations. As you see to the top part of it, there's the Woodbury Trail system. That trail hasn't been part of it, but that was still on the map, but it's not part of the DNR trail system. It's been eliminated from the map. You'll see the hashtag mark that's in Cottage Grove. That is County Road 22 or 70th Street. And right now it's currently marked from Granada Avenue east to County Road 19. The red part itself is the actual trail system. The blue should be basically overlapping the red, but just for purposes, that's how it was, and that was groomed by the Cottage Grove Snowmobile Club. You'll see on the black on the bottom, that's along 100th Street in Cottage Grove, and then there's a little couple jags around that get to the other Star Trail. So those are the feeder trails, the black. The route changes that weren't reflective on the trail, but we made years ago because of development. The first one you'll notice is right along County 19. That's East Point Douglas Road. When the Walmart development came in, we actually put trails on both sides, allowing no access for snowmobiles to be riding, because again, you can't ride on sidewalks and boulevards. So that eliminated the possibility because of the fence line along 61. That trail, however, was moved to the north side. The Snowmobile Club worked with the private owners to allow access to along VFW. So on the north side of the Walmart, that access goes to the VFW. So that trail should be reflective of that. The Hunter Street alignment, that trail system was removed in 2017 or 2018. I'd have to check my notes, maybe it was 2018. And that was really driven by Renewal by Anderson development and along there on 97th Street. Where we actually put sidewalks again, curb and gutter sidewalks, so there's no boulevard, it's all private property, and none of the landowners, Leafline Labs, Renewal by Anderson, were granting permission to ride snowmobiles on their private property. I specifically did not want snowmobiles on their property. So that should be alignment along there. It was on the north side of 100th Street, but as you know, Renewal by Anderson just put up another very large, I think 400 or 350,000 square foot complex in there, and it also has a sidewalk on that side. So again, with these developments, you get sidewalks and trail systems that then by city ordinance don't allow people to ride or operate a snowmobile on. So what we did is we worked the Snowmobile Club in 2018, and we moved that to the south side of 100th Street and brought it all the way over to the trail system that aligns with County Road 19. The proposal today is the 70th Street corridor, and we'll kind of talk about the issues and challenges we have along 70th Street. One thing I do want to talk about is the map itself shows County Road 19, and the trail kind of goes further east. County Road 19 is allowable by state statute to snowmobile into the ditches, so that is still an allowable area, which then also allows you to cross legally into the Alomar Village. So if snowmobilers want to stop and get gas or stop at any of their local restaurants, they're still allowed by ordinance to do that. We're not anticipating or making any recommendation to remove that portion of a rideable area. Big reason for the 70th Street changes is residential growth and trail plowing. So the biggest change came in 2018 when the residents living in the East Ridge Woods development had their sidewalks not plowed in 2017. They came to the Public Services Commission and asked why the city wasn't plowing the sidewalks along 70th Street. The staff made a determination through Public Works that they were going to begin plowing 70th Street. Even though it is a county road, it can be plowed. So that form of plowing is now, you can see, a lot of times done by actual snow plows, or in this case, you'll see it's so tight in that area they use a different type of machinery to remove that. So this is kind of the trail map system, just to kind of give everyone an overview. We have a very extensive city trail map system. So again, anything that you see in red, blue, or green is not allowed to be snowmobiled, or any recreation vehicle for that matter. So mini bikes, ATVs, it's kind of the whole gamut of a recreational vehicle. Unfortunately, if it's fun and has a motor, you can't ride it on any of the trails in the city of Cottage Grove by ordinance. So just kind of gives you a feel of how the connectivity within each of the development really is linked to larger road surfaces, including 70th Street being the feeder. So as you look at the Cedarhurst Meadow Parks area, all the blue mapping, those trail systems all lead on to 80th Street to make that continuous mapping. The one that's not on there that was just built this year is around the Cedarhurst Mansion. They actually put a walking trail, sorry about that. They put a walking trail system on the west side of County 19 to actually the old military trail, which is now a trail system, actually continues and actually loops around together. So really, it's a lack of space on the north side of 70th Street for snowmobiles and the walking path. As you can see with this depiction, this is one area towards East Ridge Woods where you see that there's really no room between the road surface that's plowed from side to side and then the trail system, and where you would actually operate a snowmobile or ATV or any other recreational vehicle. Prior to this, from Keats Avenue to this location is the Cedarhurst Mansion. There's actually no room. It goes straight right to the sidewalk and then Cedarhurst property. So there's zero room to ride any snowmobile. So by ordinance, by riding on that trail, it's technically illegal. Here's a couple other areas that you'll see. 70th Street. I believe this is going to be the Jensen Avenue. 70th Street's a wider road, and you can see how wide the boulevard is for snowmobiling, but then it necks down where the trail system comes across. So in order to get from one side of this road to the other, you have to actually cross the trail, the sidewalk, the road, the sidewalk, the trail to get back onto the rideable space along 70th Street. Same thing occurs with the new roundabout at Jamaica and 70th Street. As you can see, the church owns any of the property. Again, by ordinance, you can't ride on a church or the schools, so you end up either riding on someone's private property or on a trail, both of which are illegal. The only legal place to cross this would be actually to ride in the roundabout on the rightmost portion of the lane all the way through and then jump back on to a trail after you get through the roundabout. Some more areas of concern that we have at the Public Safety Department as you get to Ideal. As you notice, we added a turn lane with the new roundabout at Hinton. That actually affords for no room again. So for this location, if they want to snowmobile along 70th Street, you're going to have to actually ride on 70th Street roadway itself because there's actually no space to be able to ride other than on the path, which again violates the ordinance. This is kind of that Cedarhurst. You can see where it says West Washington 22. That's what I'm referring to, where there's no room between that location all the way through Alomar down to the trail system. The one below that is kind of where we had initially had complaints. It's a snowmobile or the sledding hill right at 70th and Innsdale, where a lot of kids enjoy sledding in that area. There's no parking signs, but again, if you get to the top of that hill there, it's 70th Street. There's a small curb, and then there's the trail, the paved trail, and then the sliding hill. So there's not a lot of space in between that. So you're kind of commingling, again, the pedestrians and the recreation vehicles. For calls for service, this is kind of an overview. It's not the calls for service that we're worried about. The snowmobiles are generally very good riders, and they're very conscientious of what they do and where they ride. That's not the concern that we have at Public Safety. So you can see the complaints here generate from year to year. The year itself, if you see 2011, that's actually starts in 2011, ends in 2012. So if you look at data, it doesn't always track from year to year because it's actually a 2-year period within a 1-year marker. You'll notice there's nothing listed for 19 to 20. We went to a new records management system. We originally didn't find anything. It was actually titled, we had one complaint, it was titled ATV because the new records management system, I think everyone's getting used to coding certain ways. So it wasn't coming up as a snowmobile complaint, but I actually did find it was an ATV marking snowmobile complaint. Had nothing to do with this area. It was Hadley, and somebody was complaining it was going over 30 miles an hour. So that was the only complaint in that year. So, meeting with the club, mileage needed. I think one of the concerns when we met with the club in 2018 was that they received grant funding from the Minnesota DNR for miles that they have on the trail system. And what we did was this year is made contact with Chris from the Star Trail and kind of said, hey, this is the plan, is to remove 70th Street as a trail system. What is it that we can do to try to come up with a solution? And the first solution that Chris and I both talked about was a trailer location. So I work with the Cottage Grove Public Works Recreation Department, and we identified Lamar Ball Fields as a good parking lot location to actually trailer, unload, and go onto the trail, which isn't always ideal if you live in the city and you don't want to trailer out a mile or two, but it does give those people that live within the area of Cottage Grove that has no trail access to the trail access that's on the east side. The other thing that we looked at with staff is kind of to come up with another area, and this is highlighted in green. The star is, again, the Lamar loading and unloading that we think is we could use. The green area is actually more mileage for the Star Trail system for feeders than what they're currently getting. So if they're getting grant, they could really replace the 70th Street with this new section. And that would get you Alomar Village, basically, on the south side of 70th, all the way to Manning, Manning south, all the way to 100th Street, and that gets you back to the Star Trail. So it kind of gives them that connectivity that they're looking for, that you really don't get with a trailer location unless you have a trail adjacent to that trailerine location. So that's kind of some things that we went to. The next thing we're asking for is, I guess we're asking for a vote from council to change and amend the ordinance. 70th Street is a county road. By statute, they're allowed to ride on a county road in the ditches. So in order to change the ordinance, the city attorney recommended that we actually have to call out that specific location as not rideable, even though there's trails and walkways that are also illegal, to call out that whole section so I have no confusion. And that's what we're planning on doing right now. We would update the Snowmobile Club. Again, I did talk to Chris with the Star Trail 3 or 4 weeks ago to kind of discuss what the changes were going to be. Ensured that they understood where it was. At that time, when I talked to Chris, the map had not been made and sent out, so it was good. That's how we kind of got into the conversation about a trailer location, because Lake Elmo also has a trailer location. I thought this would be a good opportunity to put that on the map this year for them. So that's what we're kind of doing. I'll stand for any questions, or if you want to take people's comments or questions.
Let's start with questions from council. Council,
Okay.
is there any questions? We'll start with Councilmember Olson.
Deputy Chief Renzel, thank you. Very good presentation, very informative. I walked into the meeting tonight with a thought, and you've actually somewhat addressed it already. You know, we're not really looking to, you know, take anything away from people, but we clearly have an obligation to the public safety of the residents of our community, and with the development that's occurred along 70th Street, it's becoming ever more challenging to allow folks to use any kind of recreational vehicle along that trail. So my thought was, could we have the Snowmobile Club and the Star Trail folks work directly with the Public Services Commission, who is responsible for reviewing this trailway each year, to identify other areas of the city where people can ride, so that they maintain the amount of mileage that they have on the trail system for DNR funding purposes, but also just so that, you know, if you take something away, you give something back, and hopefully you try to find a reasonable compromise. So my question is this. On your presentation, you showed the green thick lines, and I'm assuming that is your thoughts around where to potentially substitute additional mileage. Have you discussed that with the Snowmobile Club already, and has it gone through the Public Services Commission, or is this simply a proposal for us to talk about this evening?
This was a proposal. Thank you for the question, Councilmember and Mayor. This was a proposal that we came up with kind of after we heard that there was more concerns in regards to the mileage that was being removed. Really, by statute, 70th Street is allowed to be ridden on without a Star Trail designation. So this would be more the Star Trail working with either the county and or the state. County Road 22, again, by statute, is allowed to be ridden on in the ditch, and as is Manning or 95, which is a state highway, as long as you're in the ditch area. So they could very easily add that to their map system, just like it is along County 19. You'll see it jogs off County 19 and goes onto private property in a few locations, but really part of that trail system is along County Road 19, which is the county road again, and allowed to ride by statute in the ditch.
So if I understand you correctly, there's no action that we would need to take to allow for this area to be used for that purpose. We could just say, you know, it's open, feel free. There's no action that the council has to vote on or anything to that degree?
Correct. Public safety has no concerns with this specific area of the community to ride in. Anything east of County 19 is really kind of an opportunity for them to expand.
Okay. And you said you spoke to, I think you said that the gentleman's name was Chris, about the trailer in idea at the Lamar Ball Fields parking lot there, which I think is a really nice idea. And he seemed receptive to that?
Correct, and I'm gonna butcher his name, and if he's here, I apologize. Voligny, and I know I'm not getting that proper, so.
Okay.
But
All right.
yes.
Yeah, you went to Armstrong, we get it, so it's fine.
Well, so did the city attorney.
Yeah, but anyway, if indeed we are able to add this, it appears from the map that you put up that this maintains connectivity to the actual Star Trail itself, but it just kind of jogs off, you know, kind of a different way. So does the Star Trail itself have connectivity further down 70th Street as well? I know that the concern is we want to try to prevent any sort of public safety challenges with 70th Street from Keats essentially to sort of Hardwood area. Does the Star Trail connect up in any of those spots? Are we taking away a connection point?
No, this would just be a feeder trail, and I haven't been around long enough for this whole thing, but 70th Street used to actually connect to St. Paul Park.
Right.
So I believe at one point in time, this was a continuous trail system along 70th into
Yeah.
St. Paul Park. But again, 49 years doesn't give me that. I remember the Rumpka Pit and some other things, but I believe it was part of the original trail, but was obviously stopped when the highway went through.
Well, when I was on the Public Safety, Health and Welfare Commission from '04 to '08, we used to have to approve these. And my friend Brian Hagan was also on the commission, and Brian is Mr. Snowmobile, so he kind of guided my knowledge of that. And, you know, traditionally, we've had, in Cottage Grove, we've had a history of allowing people to use that corridor for recreation purposes, but just like Woodbury and any other city, as you grow, you know, different things change. But this makes me think of the hunting map, because we also used to approve the hunting map every year. And we've kind of pushed hunting further out towards Hastings because, again, you're getting into residential areas that used to be rural areas, et cetera. But I definitely like the idea of coming up with some sort of opportunity for the club themselves and our Public Services Commission, in conjunction with Public Safety, to come to some agreement on, okay, if we can't do this, what can we do instead? And this seems reasonable to me, but I don't snowmobile in town, so I could be wrong. But I like the fact that you came prepared with this, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Other council members? Yeah, Councilmember Mills.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much for bringing this forth. I just want to make sure that the trailer parking lot connects easily to that green piece. Is it connect easily, or do you have to go south?
No, it's actually, the Lamar Ball Fields is right adjacent to 70th Street. So
right, so they can go up through there in the park, and it's not going to be an issue.
it's actually connected basically to the green. That's kind of why we came up with this solution, is to give that opportunity for the connectivity. You know, you take your snowmobile off the trailer, you don't want to ride for 4 miles before you actually get to the trail.
Right.
That's why we're thinking that adding this trail section along 70th Street and Manning kind of gets that loop together.
Okay, thank you for that, and thank you too, because I know we had some conversations about different things, and I was hoping we could look at a way to add more trail, because I know that's a piece. Again, I don't snowmobile, but I know that it's something that a lot of people do, so I'm hoping maybe this is a piece that we can kind of give back. And I know we also talked about timing of things with moving forward with, like with the commission approving all that. I know we had a weird year. And since I'm the liaison, I knew it hadn't come forth this year, but I'm hoping that moving forward, that's something we can really make sure is on the schedule as because I think we're gonna have times we may have to change trails again. And maybe it comes forth to the council, whether it's an ordinance change. So I'm hoping timing and all of that. So I'm just kind of bringing that forth, and I appreciate you working with some of this as we had some conversation this week. So thank you very much for that.
Duly noted, thank you.
Councilmember Thiede.
Yeah, I will ask a question. So, you know, I know, haven't been involved obviously in the snowmobile trails and things like that, but I know one of the things they like to do, just like with the VFW and Junction 70, is stopping at some of those locations and and spending some time at those places. Now, I guess the question I would have is if, you know, we know that the old Boondocks building there was a barn, that's for sale. I think it's in pretty sad shape, but also possibly, you know, you've got, you know, Wayne Butt and the wedding venue. I don't know, the winter might be a slower time there. If you had this plan, would they be able to get to either one of those locations legally with their snowmobiles?
Yeah, council member and mayor, thank you. The black mark that's actually kind of right underneath the big yellow star
Yeah.
actually goes to the Boondocks. We never removed that trail segment because there is potential for that to reopen at some point, so there's no reason for us to remove that trail section. So that still exists. The only time we look to amend the map is really when we have development-driven trailways that obviously conflict with our current ordinance with riding recreational vehicles on trailways.
Okay, good, thank you.
So Greg, I do have a couple quick questions. So I'm noticing on the map here, you've got the dotted black line that goes down 70th Street, and then up to the north of it there's another dotted black line. What, is that still there?
No, that was removed years ago. If you go to the DNR active map,
Yes, that's why I was curious.
the active map has that removed, so that
So
was
70th is
Woodbury.
really the only one as of right now that's still, in essence, going into the communities.
It's the only trail that I know of south of 94. There's something on the east side of Woodbury towards Hudson, along 94. I don't know how far that goes over anymore, and they continue to develop, and I know they're developing faster than we are, so I imagine they'll have the same issues we have, but there's nothing else, to my knowledge, to the west of County 19.
And then you kind of alluded to this, but it's just more from my knowledge, understanding. So the blue line on this map that you have here shows that the Cottage Grove's, the Snowmobile Club is grooming that trail?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming is the line just there, because the actual Star Trail looks like it kind of jogs all over the place, is that?
Yeah, this is their map, again, that came off the
Okay.
Star Trail. We didn't amend it. The only thing we amended from this was adding the green and the star. So I think it's one and the same. I just don't think they had the program to actually follow specifically around, but I do believe they groom the entire thing, and maybe they can.
Okay, perfect. All right, any other questions, council? All right, so what we'll do next is, and thank you for those that had signed up. I'm just gonna, at first, just kind of go down the list from the top on down and let each of you come up and speak. You have up to 3 minutes to speak to us. And then if there is a question or whatever, I know we'll be taking some notes, and we may kind of pull it all together. So if there's a general question that maybe we're not gonna be able to answer like immediately, we'll obviously have staff help us with that. So we'll start with John Utstein. John? Did I get it in? And yeah, I'm sorry, just name and address for the record, please.
I'm a little smaller than the police officer there. My name is John Utston. I am the president and CEO of the Washington County Star Trail Association, and I've also been the president of the Hugo Snowmobile Club for 22 years. Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come up here and speak. I guess I was unaware I had 3 minutes, so I'm going to kind of roll through this rather quickly.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I understand that there's the issue with the trail that runs on 70th going west. I am requesting that this be tabled tonight based on several reasons. First, let me state that we are a 100% volunteer nonprofit organization here to provide tourism for Cottage Grove and all of Washington County, working with resolutions from Washington County itself and the DNR to receive our funding. We are families, we all have full-time jobs. We do this for the city of Cottage Grove on our own goodwill, 100% volunteer. Snowmobiling is a $2.2 billion industry for our state, providing hundreds of jobs, millions of dollars in tourism, unlike bicyclists, which run at a deficit for cities. As a matter of fact, they cost cities millions of dollars in taxpayer money. for this recreational sport. Snowmobiling generates income, bicyclists run at a deficit. In 2019, there was 219,000 snowmobilers registered in the state of Minnesota. Washington County alone has over 25,000 voting registered residents that own snowmobiles. So it's quite a big thing. We are the experts on trail safety, respectfully to the public safety, council members, and mayor. For over 60 years, the Washington County Star Trail has been marking safe trails. I have been doing it myself for over 22 years. I've been marking safe trails. We are the experts through training, through on-the-job training, thousands of hours. Respectfully, Mr. Mayor, public safety, council members, none of you mark trails. Put up stop signs. This is our job. We're the ones that have we know what a safe trail is respectfully. This is what we do. We provide this for the city. We don't want the city out there to assume that liability. And you don't want to be out there hanging a sign. That's our job as a nonprofit 501c. And I say this respectfully. Thank you. The trail in question I say is safe, and I'm an expert, and so is the Washington County Star Trail Association. It seems like the city has concern, as I've heard a year ago, Mr. Mayor, when we met with you, that you were worried about people and snowmobiles. In 2018 to 2019, there were 707 accidents involving cars, automobiles, and people. 0 reported for snowmobiles. Let me say that again, 707, 0 for snowmobiling. 18.6 of these accidents, unfortunately, were fatalities. 22.5% were serious hospitalization injuries. 0 involving snowmobiles and pedestrians. Snowmobiling does not show up in these reports at all. As a matter of fact, cities, even at a federal level, are taking a bicyclist and they're saying it's safe to put that bicyclist next to an automobile doing 60 miles an hour, and they're riding them side by side. And I think we're all guilty in this room of texting and driving respectfully. You can't do that on a snowmobile. But the cities say that that's safe, and so do the counties, and so do we say that at a federal level, that we can do that with a 3,000-pound car and someone riding their bike with their little kid behind them. I think it's extremely dangerous, the car, but this is the move. This is what we're doing. I'm going quick here, I'm sorry. The Hardwood Creek Trail is one of Washington County's busiest trails. Our speed limit is 50 miles an hour, and we ride right next to dog sleds, pedestrians, fat tire bikes, people just out walking. I only went back 10 years, but in 10 years, and it's one of Washington County's busiest multi-use trails. Mr. Mayor, respectfully, 0 reported accidents. And in just 1 year, I pointed out 707 in Washington County alone. Over 10 years, we've had 0 on our busiest trail in the state. Minnesota State Statute 84.87 sub 3, DNR does supersede, as officer had mentioned, the right-of-way on these highways that we can ride legally our snowmobiles. We believe also that grant money was used to pave that trail that is in question. These trails carry a 20-year agreement with the DNR for our grant money that the snowmobile trail stays intact. Respectfully. The city is aware of this, as mentioned in your report on March 14, 2018 from your Public Safety Department. So they are aware of this report. In closing, I request again that we table this respectfully. There's too much of the mechanics involved here. When we met a year ago to discuss this, and we are the experts respectfully, we believe this is a very safe trail and we're very proud of it. We can do a lot of things. This is not a destination trail. This is for your voting, tax-paying citizens. This is to get them safely out of their homes and on that trail. There are 2 businesses on there that really appreciate this. This trail is to get them to our corridor trails and our busy trails. That's not at all what this is. There's a lot that we can do with this. I'm requesting a workshop where we can sit down with public safety and we can talk about our expertise on marking and maintaining trails. We are extremely excited about working with the city of Cottage Grove. It's a great city. We've got an excellent club, very dedicated. I'll have Jeremy get up here in just a second to give a brief description of that. But there's a lot that we can do with this trail. One thing that I want to make mention, and I'll close with this, the DNR is no longer reimbursing for added trails. So if you take away, we lose our funding. We will take as many trails as we can get, but we groom those and maintain them at a deficit, and we just eat up our funding, which is never enough. The resolution that we get from Washington County. And during a year of COVID-19, I really don't think that respectfully we should be taking away from outdoor recreation. As a matter of fact, I think we should be getting our people out. Suicides, alcoholism, divorce rate is through the ceiling. We want to get these people out and enjoy the great city of Cottage Grove. And again, respectfully, we can work with the city and with public safety and figure out what your needs are. We don't run from development. We embrace development. We want to take those residents, just like the soccer fields and the baseball fields and the parks. We embrace developments. We want to get those people safely to a feeder trail. Snowmobiling, maybe 50 years ago was a bad thing, and cutting down barbed wire fences, that doesn't exist. These are marked, groomed, safe trails for our residents. Snowmobiling has really changed. It's a lot of families. It's not the 20-year-old kid running around being stupid. And respectfully, it's too much, but your police department's busy here. There's thousands and thousands of calls, and we're talking about 4 or 5, which are unrelated to this issue. I think that's like an A+ for the club down here. I couldn't be more proud of the job these guys are doing. If I walked in and seen 200 complaints a year, then I'm thinking, okay, we got a problem. But we're talking about a city of Cottage Grove has done a great job. Everybody involved, and especially our public safety. Their job is enforcement, and they do a great job of it. But respectfully, these calls are nothing. And if we have residents questioning, well, why is there a trail there? Should there be a trail there? They can ask, why was there a soccer field? Where I live, they don't want soccer going past 7 o'clock at night because the kids are making noise. So we're always going to have that. We can't think that that's going to go away. So we're going to have people question why this and why that. Well, it's outdoor recreation and tourism. University of Minnesota did a study. I can't go into it, there's too much going on, but we generate $22 on average for every destination trip that we do in snowmobiling. And that's to that local city, whether it be gas and food. It means a lot to these businesses, and it means a lot to the residents. The 25,000 registered snowmobilers, 219,000 statewide, which travel, come out here to spend money for tourism. Mr. Mayor, council members, public safety, thank you so much. I know I went over my 3 minutes, but this was about a 20-minute ordeal. So I'm pretty proud of myself, actually.
You did a good job trying to put
All
it
right, thank
down
you
there.
so much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jeremy Goebel.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Goebel. I am the president of the East Cottage Grove Scramblers. We mark and maintain this section of trail we're talking about. I'm the one that does all the grooming. I myself actually am the one that marks 70th Street, so I know it gets taken care of properly. I've worked with Public Works before, and to my knowledge, there hasn't been any issues with the way I groom it and mark it, as far as me dragging snow onto sidewalks. To my knowledge, there hasn't been any issues. The issue I have is you guys take this trail away, snowmobilers are still gonna ride down it because it's been there for longer than I've been around. You take the signs away, they're not gonna stay where the signs are. They're gonna be up in people's yards and they're not gonna obey the law. I groom it, they stick to the signs, and like I said, there hasn't been any issues. No one's contacted me, and I'm the go-to person down here since we took over the whole section of trail. I hate to see to lose this because we're taking money away from businesses. You're taking access away from residents to get out to the trail that may not have a trailer. So how are they going to get their snowmobile out of their yard if they don't have a trailer? I mean, people don't have trailers. Like I said, it's important to us, and we don't want to lose miles, and we can't get it back. I like the trailer idea. That's the parking lot. That's a good idea. But like I said, we're here because of this 70th Street issue, and I'm more than willing to work with anybody to resolve this. If we come up with an options, if we can, they said table it for this year. Let's one more year. Let's see if there's any issues, and we can work on it in the spring as a group and resolve it. Like I said, you call me, I'll do whatever I can do to make this work. So I appreciate you guys' time. So I know there's plenty of other people who want to speak. So
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm having a hard time reading the name. Chris, is it Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, Chris, if you want to come up and just state your name and address for the record. I unfortunately cannot read your last name.
Volley, Mr.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, staff, we appreciate everyone's time. I am the Star Trail Coordinator. Made the mistake of calling and complaining about some bumpy trails of about 10 years ago, and all of a sudden, here I am. But we are all a volunteer organization. Everybody's extremely busy. We take a lot of pride in what we do, and we're very, very proud of the fact that we have no fatalities and very minimal incidences, and that's not an easy situation in a county such as ours that is expanding rapidly. Our president, John, had mentioned we embrace development. We have a situation up in the Hugo area where we were fortunate enough to meet with a developer prior to development, and basically kind of got involved early, let him sell the fact. The reality of what happens in kind of suburbs such as this and up in our area are inner city people, whoever it may be, moving out a little bit. And once they realize they have the opportunity of hopping on a trail system right here that will bring you all the way to Canada, will bring you all the way to the UP of Michigan, or if you want to do a day trip into Wisconsin, it gives you all those options. It's extremely, very time consuming and a lot of work to get this done and to make it happen, and to make it happen in a safe way. The trail that we're discussing and the proposed amendment concerns me for quite a few reasons. I realize that it's been there 50-plus years, way before my time. Well, not way, unfortunately, but that is an access trail out to the main trail. And the problems we've ran into in the time I've been involved is if something like this gets shut down, unfortunately, people who ride are still going to try to get there. I don't know what the stats are and the amount of guys that actually have trucks and trailers. It's not probably as high as everyone would like. Our sport is a very expensive sport. The sleds currently average around $15,000 for a new snowmobile. The manufacturers are getting a little better to keep the youth involved, so there are some lesser expensive sleds, but it's pretty expensive, and then you throw in a $75,000 truck and another $5,000+ trailer. Unfortunately, a lot of residents and tax-paying residents probably cannot afford that. My concern with that is, since I've been involved and aware of that, I have not heard of any situations on there. And I understand there may be some residents in that type of thing. You know, really that's what we do. John's kind of brought me under his wing, and he's very good with this. He also does take most of the complaints up in our area. They call John directly, unless it's a major accident or something. I've gone out to homes with him and met with teenage kids, discussed it. They're scared to death that we're there. By the time we leave, they understand the importance of staying on the trail, respecting private property rights, and we literally have very few issues, and it doesn't just happen that way. If something like this is gone, I would be concerned that you're going to have quite a few more issues than what we've seen, which once again don't even really go back to this direct area of the trail. And once again, we need some time to make this work. We're all here and available. Bear with us. We all have full-time jobs, families, so we get it in when we can. But once again, I'm very proud of the job Jeremy's done down here. They do a great job. They take a lot of pride in it. The businesses are jumping back into it because we've had some kind of stagnant areas down in this area somewhat as far as the business is getting back involved. So there are challenges with development, as all over. However, we work with them, we embrace it, and a lot of homeowners we find up in the Hugo area, we were out signing. I'll tell a quick story and wrap this up. I had 5 different residents in a new development very similar to these, $400,000 to $800,000 homes, ask me when we were out signing about when the trail's officially open, when they can get out and ride, and excited about the fact that they can leave right from their driveway, hop on a trail, and go up to Grantsburg, Wisconsin for a half a day. And to me, that is rewarding due to the fact in the old days, it used to be somebody complaining. I think once you educate the residents, point out the benefits to them, not everybody rides, but we are seeing kind of a resurgence in our sports, and as everybody wears due to COVID, any outdoor recreation is crazy this year. It's fishing, it's whatever you can do to get out. And we totally expect that to carry over this year. And I just hate to see something like this lost. It's a lot of time and effort goes into it. Absolutely open to any other options that we may have for something else that may work in the future, but totally agree with our president. You know, give us the time to talk about it and work it out. We're more than willing to do it. Thank you for your time, and thanks, Snow, even though it's a little difficult at the time.
Not quite yet. We did have it earlier, but yes.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Brian Hagan.
Brian Hagan, 8026 Hyde Avenue in Cottage Grove here. Chief Deputy Renzel covered just about everything I'd have covered here tonight. 70th Street's not a safe trail, and I don't care what you do unless you build bridges, you're not making it safe. Down by Cedarhurst Mansion, it's road, sidewalk, trees. If we go by city code, you can't ride on it. You go up a little bit further and you got to cross the trail 2 or 3 times as you get down towards Hinton. Every time there's a stop sign, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 stop signs at one roundabout. A Cottage Grove SS Club did not groom that trail for many years. We marked it, but we never groomed it because of the kids in Highland Park. They come up to the top of that hill, they ride down. Now that they're plowing that sidewalk there again, there's no place to ride. Street, sidewalk, hill. Where are they going to go? Cottage Grove, you can still ride from your home on the city street to a trail in a direct line to a trail and come back home. We don't need a trail on 70th Street if they abide by the code. I guess for me, that's all I've got to say. We're here for 70th Street tonight, not the rest of the city. We'll address that next time. But if there's any questions that you have, ask away. And as far as the tourism goes and taxpayer dollars, great for outstate Minnesota if you're a resort town. Cottage Grove's got nowhere to go anymore. We're landlocked. Nothing going to the south, can't get across the river. In another year or two, you ain't gonna get to Woodbury. It's treacherous the way it's going. If you go and look the trail over, it is not safe. The way you gotta hop over 19 back and forth all the way up. So, in my eyes, and my eyes only, the 70th Street's not safe. Going north out of here to Woodbury is not safe. So, any questions?
All right, thank you, Brian.
You're welcome, thank you.
And then on the last on the list is Jim, and I'm not sure POV. No? No? Okay. All right. So Jim is not going to speak. Is there anybody else that maybe wants to speak that didn't get a chance to, that didn't sign up? Okay. I did, on listening to the different conversations that were had, I know that there was a comment made about a trail and DNR funding or something to that effect, can you elaborate on that?
Sure, I can. That there was a grant for 70th Street. I believe 70th Street has been redone 2 times since that grant was there, and that sidewalk has been replaced. At least 1 full revolution of replacement from that grant. So that grant is, the sidewalk that grant paid for doesn't exist. It's ground up and somewhere else. So it was, and we did talk about that. But again, it was when we decided to plow that section and make it a walkway, it became illegal.
Okay. So. All right, thanks. Yeah, Councilmember Olson.
Thanks. I'm not quite sure who to direct this question to, so I'm going to start with the city attorney. But if the city attorney doesn't know, you feel free to hand it off to whoever you want, okay? Mr. Hagan made a comment that I found very interesting with respect to the city allows for people to essentially snowmobile from their home and take a direct route to a trail, and I know that's something that we've allowed forever, for as long as I've lived here. Would this ordinance change, if it were to pass, change anything to do with that specific activity. So to give you a real-life example, you know, I had some conversations with some of the East Ridge Woods residents about this issue. And one of the residents that I spoke to is a snowmobiler and enjoys that activity. Said that he spends most of his time on the trails in northern Wisconsin because, you know, he wants to go and, you know, go all day, et cetera. But once in a blue moon, he'll drive from his home and connect up with one of the local trails here. And then he'll, you know, go out into Old Cottage Grove and spend some time out there. Would this change any of that?
Your Honor, members of the council, I certainly am no expert on snowmobiling, but
I don't know if your mic's on. You might check. There you go.
Operator error, I apologize. The way that state statute works is if state statute says that you can use a road to cross to get to a trail, that's the law. Cities can be more restrictive. So what we're doing is restricting certain parts of a roadway and saying you can't use this part. But that doesn't in any way affect the state statute, which says that if you need to get from here to there, you can still do that. You can still cross the roadway to get there. We're just saying you can't use this part of this road. We're being more restrictive than state law, which state law allows cities to do.
Okay, does that answer your question, Councilmember Wilson? Okay, all right. So, Council, what we have before us now is obviously the recommendation is to remove this section along 70th Street. The only comments that I'll make, and then I'll turn it over to anybody who wants to make comments or suggestions or anything like that, is, you know, we did have the opportunity to meet in the last couple of years, and I know back in 2018, so it's like 2018 to 2019, like you said, these years are kind of, it's hard to judge, just like this is 19 or 2021 year, whatever. The Public Safety Commission did recommend to remove this trail. It didn't get done, and part of the reason I don't think it got done or went to level to have that happen is because when we started having the conversation about what was going to go on with 70th, I know Jeremy had approached me and I believe Officer Renzel and said he already marked the trail. And so even though we had people that had complained to me, I know, and to public safety about the concerns on that trail, matter of fact, we even sat in that meeting trying to figure out how do you get snowmobiles down certain parts of this so that there isn't this issue of crossing over and now the Public Works team actually grooming that or plowing that trail through there, specifically on the East Ridge Woods side, put aside the other issue that deals with the sledding hill. I know that it may not felt that way, but the intent, we granted it last year because of that. That was the reason that we just said, hey, all right, you already marked the trail. We're going to go ahead and here's what I need you to do. Let's kind of figure this all out. And we all kind of work together as a team. But I didn't get the impression, or at least from our public safety group and the commission, that our intent was to just continue the trail into the future. So, and that's kind of why we're here tonight, is obviously we had a little snow, well, a lot of snow a couple of weeks ago, but we wanted to make sure that there was enough time to make some adjustments if needed along 70th. At least that's my take on it. The other thing is, I know there's been discussions back and forth about the maps not being updated. I know that as I look at the map that's before us right now, there's feeder trail systems that are shown on the map that aren't feeder trail systems shown on the, or shouldn't be, because they're no longer there. The access going down to the VFW shouldn't be there because, or along East Point Douglas, that is. You have another access, I think, going behind to get to the VFW, which is great. And then there's some changes that happen over by Renewal by Anderson, but none of these changes have actually been done. And I do appreciate the fact that you commented, you guys are all volunteers. And it's a volunteer organization, so maybe the maps just aren't getting updated because somebody as a volunteer might be dropping the ball so that the general public doesn't realize that the maps are changing. Myself, I'll just speak for myself, I'm not a snowmobiler, though for the first time last year I got to ride on one up north and have some pictures of it. I was sharing that with a couple people last year. And it is fun. It is actually a fun thing. I just never had the opportunity to really do it. But I also know that our city is changing, our city is growing, and we still want to give the option, at least I do, for other opportunities with trails and extensions. But with the proximity of the trail, the access, and such along 70th, I just don't see it. I can't. I know you said that there's not been a lot of conflicts, if you will, or accidents and things like that, but I don't want to be the mayor of that one that happens to happen in Cottage Grove on a trail that somebody got hit, whether it's a car, whether it's a pedestrian or something like that. And I agree, I've seen a lot of great snowmobilers out there and they do an amazing job. But as we all know, it's just that one that doesn't. The ones that I've heard others out, maybe Jeremy, you're one of them too, that are chasing somebody because they're not following the rules. And we appreciate that. But again, my personal intent would be this section of road does not make sense to continue. So that's me, and I don't know if other council members want to speak or make suggestions or whatever. Councilmember Olson?
I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. I really want the club to work closely with our Public Services Commission to find alternatives. One of the things that was mentioned that I was not aware of is with respect to their DNR funding, and you know, I don't quite understand how this can be, but essentially the statement was, well, if you take away this, but you give me that, the DNR won't fund me for that. So that seems odd to me. And maybe that's something that we need to work with our state legislative team on, because I would think that they would be receptive to continuing to fund safe and productive, you know, outdoor recreational activities. So, I mean, as I'm hearing everybody speak and listening to the various members of the club, and then also, you know, the staff and the council, it seems like 95% of what we're talking about the same thing. You know, everybody seems to be singing from the same sheet of music relative to, we want people to be able to snowmobile in Cottage Grove. We want them to enjoy that recreational activity. We want to provide more opportunity to do that. But where the rub is this specific trailway system along 70th Street is a point of contention due to public safety concerns, resident concerns that are caused by the additional development, et cetera. You know, that's not something that we can easily overlook. We just can't. We just can't. It would be irresponsible for us to do that. So, you know, I would like to see us really reach out as a city staff and as a council and as a Public Services Commission to this club and work directly with them on ways in which we can help ease the pain of this, so to speak. But, you know, I'm going to vote in favor of the 70th Street Trail being taken off the map.
Okay. Councilmember Thiede?
I'll just kind of reiterate, you know, again, as I look at this and think about as the city moves off and grows to the east, I mean, in Old Cottage Grove, it's gonna be probably another 25, 30 years, and I would really take a look there, like I say, I don't know what condition the Boondocks is in. You know, I don't know what whether the Butts and the Ferber Farm, you know, they've got things set up. There's times where they don't have weddings, I imagine, especially in the winter. You know, you could even mention something about having snowmobiles in the garage or something like that where, you know, or sitting outside at somebody's house. Maybe there's a way, like with that Boondocks property or something like that, you could actually have some storage, you know, like areas for people to actually have their snowmobiles out there, so they just drive out there and then jump on the trails. But I would say, you know, and with the parking area there, it could become a snowmobile mecca. But just need to kind of, I know you're all busy, you're all volunteers, but I'm sure there's some business people in your group too, and just kind of think of what kind of possibilities there could be, you know, and you know, that could be a kind of like a great little area for snowmobile rider camaraderie and so forth. But so.
Okay. Councilmember Mills.
Sorry, I'm waiting for the mic to turn on. Thank you, Mayor. So I would really love to see the city work with the club, and being on the liaison for the Public Services Commission, would love to work to figure out ways that we can still have snowmobiling in Cottage Grove, but I do not see 70th Street moving forward as a trail. I know I've heard a lot about that, and I understand that it's been there a long time. I'm sure that you are very safe in doing all that, but looking at these other pieces with people walking on the trail, and with COVID, I think we're gonna have more people walking on the trail this winter. I can't vote to leave that piece open, but I really wanna have our staff work with the team, with the group, and work forward with that. And timing-wise too, so that we're not looking at this in November, and that it's much further ahead, so you guys can plan, because I know you have a lot of events, and putting that all forth. So that's what I'd like to see happen.
Okay. So anybody else? Councilmember Dennis?
Thanks, Mayor. Well, folks, there's times when we get into the no-win situation, and that's kind of where we're at tonight. The last thing we ever seek to do is to make people unhappy. I feel confident in saying that for everybody on this team and for the staff that are part of things. And you know, I've been, first off, I want to say thank you to those that reached out to me, phone calls, visits in the store, and emails. And what I have sought to do is to keep a very open mind on this thing, weighing all data and information till the very end when it comes time to cast a vote. And here's the thing. When you look at the section that Mr. Hagan brought up, where it's street, sidewalk, and trees, it's really hard to say that's a trail. It's really hard. I'm trying as much as I can to wrap my mind around that. And, you know, I'm a fellow who owned a motorcycle when I was young. I love to ride. I mean, I think about and enjoying, you know, ride. It's tough to say that would be something I would enjoy to do, even, you know, and in front of a different set of handlebars, not a motorcycle, but a snowmobile. So I don't like to take anything away from people. I don't like to do it. But here's the thing, if something were to happen there at that pinch point or some of those other areas, I believe that every person in this room has a fantastic conscience and cares about other people, and we would all be heartbroken if something were to occur there. Even though 700 and some accidents and nothing with snowmobiles, but man, we don't even want to bring those numbers up, because it's like jinxing yourself. So I can't keep it open. I just can't. My conscience won't let me, and I do apologize for any of those folks and friends in the community that that feel let down. But if something were to happen, I would have a hard time dealing with that. I don't want to lose anybody. I care about everybody, and we all do. So that's my piece. Thank you.
Okay. So Before I ask for a motion from the council, I know our Parks and Rec director is out in the entry out there. I see him waving at me, and our administrator's here. And I hope the council will indulge me in just a couple comments. One is, or ideas. One is working as the liaison with the Public Safety Commission. I would like to see the groups work together on a plan. But as we look to the future, I think what's happening is you're going to see as cities continue to grow, let alone Cottage Grove. It's happened up in Woodbury, we know that the trails and the feeder systems have disappeared. My question for staff is, as we look to the future, especially with comprehensive plans and such, if the ultimate goal, and if you guys are saying the ultimate goal is to continue to have these trails, and I hope they are, the Star Trail system continue, I would be very interested in as development is happening or land is being acquired, that we could create something where there would be an availability of a snowmobile trail. Something that's wide enough. Maybe it's a swath, almost like we've got that trailway system right now that kind of goes through the power lines. But I'm looking at how can we still provide that fun experience within our community, even when that day does come, we start growing beyond County Road 19. And so I just want to throw that out there as we talk. I know we'll have a workshop or a strategic planning meeting in January. So I just want to put that as a note that would be something I'd like to talk about, is how do we work together in the future to make that happen? Because like you said, I don't like to take things away, but it scares me. That area scares me. It really does. And if we can do something with it, and then on the other side is if there is something that I can help or we can help when it comes to what you had shared about the DNR funding for the transfers of trails and such, other than us working with our legislative contingent, there also is some other opportunities for us as it relates to, I'll call it settlement dollars, that it goes with the DNR. And for Washington County too, so I would encourage you to maybe look at that as an option too, but we would do the same to make sure that if there is something, if it is truly a funding situation for you, our goal is not to hurt the snowmobile club or the trails or anything, but this particular one is just too hard to swallow on that particular stretch. So, but those are my comments on that. Thank you. So, council, what do you want to do? We need to make a motion on this.
All right, Mayor, I will make the motion to pass ordinance number 1033, amending Cottage Grove City Code Title and Chapter 6 to prohibit snowmobile operations on 70th Street west of Keats Avenue.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Olson.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Mills. Any further discussion? Yes, Councilmember Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor. I also agree with doing whatever we can from an equity standpoint to try to return some value back to the club. I love the idea of looking and structuring. We've got a great Parks and Rec program here. There might be things that we could do as a community and get behind this and actually celebrate this. So I'd like to see us keep all options open and work together with everybody in good faith and see what we can do to assist with this. So I know it's not perfect, but I feel better with that as an option.
Okay, sounds good. Officer Renzel?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment that we are going to attempt to work with the Snowmobile Club to host snowmobile classes at the Hero Center. COVID kind of threw everything on a wrench here, and DNR isn't offering any courses, but it is adjacent to the Star Trail, and that is something where we talk about public education and the opportunities that we as a city have for our youth, including hunter safety and DNR instructor, including the snowmobile, is something we want to offer at the Hero Center. And I just want to assure the club that the Public Safety Department is going to educate snowmobilers on this change when it gets into effect. We're not going to be out writing snowmobile tickets for people that have been riding this trail for years, right? We're going to educate everybody to ensure that they understand, make sure the signage is appropriate, and make sure that we're doing our fair share to ensure that everyone can ride safely. because they are a great organization, they're a great club, and we'll continue to have that partnership. So.
And I apologize, I said officer, deputy director.
That's okay.
So, back to what I said earlier, I'm not sure if we're having a Public Services Commission meeting in November. I assume we are. I think it would be prudent to reach out to Jeremy and have him come to the meeting and really start that dialogue now. With respect to the funding that you mentioned, you know, that's another thing that we can actually work with John and Chris on to identify where some funding sources might be that perhaps they're unaware of.
Exactly.
So that we can support that. I really want to see that green section that you identified put into place this year. I mean, ASAP for people to utilize. And, you know, one of the beautiful things about our city, and one of the reasons I've lived here for 40-some years and love it here, is we have that urban component and we have that rural component, and they're right next door to each other. And sometimes they're in conflict, but more often than not, they really complement each other. And that is one of the wonderful things about Cottage Grove. You know, the Goebel family's been here since Moby Dick was a minnow. I mean, a long time. I got my Goebel Farms hat at home. You know, I've worn it in numerous parades. And I got nothing but great things to say about the club and the people who belong to the club, et cetera. And so please know that this is a time when we as a council and me as an individual, we have to look at sort of the bigger picture for all of the residents in the community, and it's never easy to do. And you know, when you vote alone. I always say that. You vote alone, and you go to bed at night, you got to be able to sleep with your vote. And this has been a really hard one, and I've asked lots of questions. I've talked to lots of people. You know, I was in Eastridge Woods talking to people, you know, give me your opinion, whatever. So please work with us. Let us be partners, and let's make this as successful for you as it can be, as successful for our community as it can be. I love the fact that, you know, Elmar Village is still, it's right there. I mean, if you want to go to Carboni's, I've seen you at Carboni's 100 times. You want to go to Carboni's, you want to go to, you know, fuel up your sleds. There's a fueling station there. You know, this is, we can make this work, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right. So all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Next is 17, which is council comments and requests. Councilmember Mills.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to bring up that our city worked really hard with all of the making the polling places available for people yesterday, and all of the things they put in place for safety. And also, we had many volunteers. There was 145 people that worked the polls yesterday. So many thanks to those folks that came out to make this opportunity for people to exercise their right to vote, which is so important. And so thank you to those volunteers. Thank you to the staff here that worked with that. They did training, they put things in place and put that all together. So thank you so much for that. And then I just want to do a quick little thank you for support. We had the election results come in really late last night, really actually this morning. And so thank you to all of those that were supportive, and I look forward to another term, another 4 years of serving this community and doing the best that I can to bring the things to the community, what they're talking about, what they're needing. And like as tonight, we had a difficult situation of working with. We'll have more to come, I'm sure, but I look forward to doing another 4 years, and I look forward to working with all of you. So thank you so much. That's what I've had for tonight.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Dennis.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And the first thing I would like to do in recognition of yesterday's election is to congratulate all of my colleagues up here, Mayor Bailey, Council Members Larry Mills, and Councilmember Justin Olson on getting to spend 4 more years here working on behalf of people. You guys work hard, do a great job. We work effectively as a team. I hope that people saw a demonstration of that tonight. So it's I'm very happy that we kept the team together for all the success we've had. We'll have more good things here to come. So I also wanted to mention we also had elections for State Senator Carla Bigham, who retains her chair, and state representatives for 54A, Keith Franke, who will be getting his chair back after one term, and of course that's 54A for Keith Franke and 54B for Tony Jurgens. So congratulate them, and we look forward to working with them in many ways here to make our community be better. The next thing I want to mention very quickly is that next week, Wednesday the 11th, is Veterans Day. And so both Councilmember Olson and myself serve as volunteers and council liaison and co-liaison to the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon group. And we've been working on a really neat project, and we're looking forward to having this come to fruition. Now, because we had COVID this year and we were not able to get out and do our Memorial Day event, we had a lot of folks in the community that mentioned to us that they had missed that. So we wanted to do something special, and we wanted to recognize Veterans Day, and this is what's really unique about it. We're going to take a step back a few months. We're going to bring these two holidays that represent our respects and consideration for our military, those who have served our country, those who have given, in some cases, everything here to protect our nation. And so we're merging those two events into a singular video. And so Councilmember Olson and I work together along with Ray Kane, who is president of the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Group. In fact, he'll be here tomorrow. We're going to have the Honor Guard come up here from St. Paul Park. They're going to do a flower ceremony. This is all going to be part of the video. And then we also work with David Stalen, who is the director, commander down at the VFW here in Cottage Grove as well. So it should be a really neat event. And please be looking for that to come out. You'll see it on all the different media sites that we can get it out to. So we're looking forward to that very much. And then the last thing I want to mention is we have something really cool. November 14th is the 100-year birthday for a gentleman named Donald H. Teets. And so what we are going to do is we are going to create a day in his special honor. This gentleman served our country back in World War II, and I don't believe there's too many folks from that time period left. So this is a big, big deal. So I have a proclamation that I would like to read tonight, and there will be a number of us that will go and pay our respects and appreciation to him on his special day when he turns 100 years old. So here is the proclamation. Whereas Donald H. Teets currently lives in the city of Cottage Grove and has lived in the city since 1995, and whereas Mr. Teets enlisted in the Army to serve his country in August of 1942 into military service at Fort Snelling, and whereas Mr. Teets served the 137th Infantry Regiment for 3 years, having been involved in 5 campaigns in Northern Europe from June 1944 until May of 1945, and whereas the aforementioned campaigns took place in Normandy, known as D-Day, Northern France, Rhineland, Central Europe, and Ardennes, known as Battle of the Bulge. And whereas Mr. Teets drove jeeps, trucks, hauled equipment, ammunition, and personnel to combat areas during World War II, and whereas Mr. Teets earned the following awards: Combat Infantryman Badge, World War II Victory Medal, American Theater Ribbon, and European Theater Ribbon with 5 stars to indicate the 5 campaigns that he participated in. And whereas Mr. Teets will turn 100 years of age on November 14th, just 3 days after our nation celebrates Veterans Day, now therefore, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottage Grove, County of Washington, State of Minnesota, hereby proclaim November 14th, 2020 as Donald H. Teets Day in the City of Cottage Grove. And we do that with kind regards for what he did for our nation and for his family too.
So I'm assuming, since you've read that you're making the motion to create that?
I make the motion.
All right, so we have a motion to create that special day.
Second.
By Councilmember Dennis, second by Councilmember Olson. All those I don't think I have to have any further discussion other than it's pretty awesome. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And
Perfect.
that's good. Thank you.
All done?
Yep.
Okay. Councilmember Thiede.
All right, I don't have much, but one of the things I do want to say is as we look at the fall and season and everything like that coming, and you know I'm a numbers guy and looking at graphs and trends and so forth. I think the whole pandemic unfortunately is going to get worse and before it gets better. And I just ask people to really just kind of be really considerate of other people. And I know there's a lot of differing of opinions on, whether masks work, whether this is all fake news or whether any of the data coming in and is valid and everything. But I mean, a couple things that are valid. If you look at the statistical significance of percentages, and you got your random testing, and we're going to be starting to do some testing here in Cottage Grove. Looking at the percentages, I mean, you can do more people, but the percentage is going to kind of stay the same as a percentage if it's more valid measurement. And I mean, that's just going through the roof. I mean, even in Wisconsin, I think it's 1 in less than 4, like almost 1 in 3 now that actually are getting the COVID and so forth. So I just ask, be smart about your activities. They're saying that a lot of the different private get-togethers and so forth have been a little bit more of the culprits for spreading the disease, primarily because I think people don't take the effort of cleaning things. I mean, the retail and some of that is they are doing pretty good because they've gone through all the procedures, got procedures set up, doing the cleaning and everything. So I would say just let's really be a strong community and put our differences aside and really think about yourself, think about others, and let's see if we can beat this thing that way. So I guess that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Olson.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 things. First of all, wow, the weather's awesome. It's great. We went out and picked up a lot of lawn signs today for the campaign, and I can recall several instances of doing that when it's about 15 degrees outside and sleet and wind, and it's just no fun. Makes it really tough to get the rebar up out of the ground too, and the ground is frozen. So we were blessed that it was 70 degrees today, made it really easy. If there are any yard signs left to be picked up, please let us know. We worked as a team and we divided the city up into quadrants, and we had groups of people go out and remove signs. But if there are signs left that we've missed, please let us know and be patient. We try to get them all done by Wednesday, Thursday, because once the election's done, nobody wants that stuff in their yard. So we'll do our best to get those out. Second thing is, because the weather is fantastic, River Oaks is open for business. And it has been a record year at River Oaks for golf. We've talked a lot this evening about outdoor activity and recreation and how important that is, especially during the global pandemic. Looking at the weather forecast, I will fully admit I am not Belinda Jensen, but I will tell you that next week looks to be a little ugly. So take advantage of this week, get out and play some golf at River Oaks. Hit a bucket of balls, if nothing else, go work on your putt on the putting green. It's going to be 70 degrees through the weekend, so it's a great time to get out and enjoy a wonderful golf course. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, with respect to the election, my colleague, Councilmember Mills, talked about how grateful we are that we were able to be reelected and serve the community for the next 4 years. One of the great things about local politics, and one of the reasons that I really enjoy the local level, is we are real people. You see us at your grocery store, Target, our phone numbers are in the book, all of our information is public. We are very visible, we're very accessible, and we're very interested and willing in having conversations with people about the things that are important to them. So I encourage people to reach out. I encourage people to take advantage of the opportunity to work with your local political figures, whether that's Mayor Bailey or any of us on the council or Senator Bigham or the two state representatives, Tony Jurgens and Keith Franke. Every one of us wants to do what's right for the community. And we're here to listen to what concerns you, what questions you may have, and sometimes we're even able to help. So please take advantage of that and reach out to us. I know that campaigns can be a little bit negative, and of course we all get the postcard mailers and different things that take shots at folks, and I find that very distasteful. I choose to run a positive campaign. I'm not one of those people who is going to engage in the name calling and the mudslinging and what have you, but I know that it happens, and I know that there are people out there who will say negative things about me, and they'll say negative things about Luray, and they'll say negative things about the mayor and anybody else on the council. Here's the bottom line. Every single person that I work with, whether it's Senator Bigham, Representative Jurgens, Representative Franke, Ann Claflin, Kelsey Waits, who ran for the two state rep positions, and the people in this room, in addition to our council colleagues in Newport and St. Paul Park and Woodbury, they're all really nice people. We might have differences. We might have differences of opinion on issues and different things, but the fact that you put an R or a D next to your name if you're running for a partisan position, or the fact that you have to make a really tough vote on a snowmobile issue like we did tonight, doesn't change the fact that we all care deeply for our communities. And frankly, we all like each other. Even though we might disagree, we all like each other, we work well together, and we want to serve. Service is what it's all about. So please, if you have questions, concerns, things you want to talk about, reach out to us. We're here for that purpose, and that's actually why we do what we do. We like it. So that's all I've got, Mayor. I'll turn it back to you.
Fantastic. It's actually kind of maybe a fun little segue for me. I just have three quick things. One is, as everybody is aware, and I see Ryan's out in the entryway also, that 80th Street is open and all the lights are working when I came through tonight. But it was something that you mentioned about reaching out to us if you have questions. Facebook is an interesting beast. It can be, Scott Soroka's over there kind of chuckling now. It can be really, really good, or it can be really, really bad. And the reason I say that is, I would prefer, if you have a question on something that's of concern, to please reach out to one of us, or even frankly, just call City Hall or our Public Safety Department. Because a lot of times what happens, like, why did it take so long for 80th Street to open? There was a good reason why. Then there was the concern about the manhole covers on that section of street where it wasn't up to snuff, I guess. But then when I drove it, and I live in that area, I couldn't understand what they were seeing. Well, I think what happened is they were driving on it, or somebody was driving on it before the second lift was put on. So, I mean, we all do this. Our staff and many of our staff members live here in Cottage Grove, so we all really care about the quality of the work, the processes, and as Councilmember Olson said, we care deeply about the product, the end results, and such. And our staff will do its dangest to try to help resolve any situation that we possibly can out there. So I am excited that road is finally open as somebody who lives over there, and the surface is amazing. And Councilmember Olson had made a comment to me, I think earlier today when we were picking up signs around the city, is I can now go down that section of 80th Street with my cup of coffee in my hand and not spill over the top of me, which has happened for those out there with used to be the bumpy road. So I did want to just mention that. Second thing is kind of piggybacking on something that Councilmember Thiede was saying. And again, another a neat thing for the city of Cottage Grove and our Public Safety Department. A while back, our staff had approached the council and asked if we could, would we support, as a council, would we support doing COVID testing in our community? And I think that was a slam dunk. The council was unanimous, yep, let's do it. In the midst of all that, things have changed, as we all know, and I guess long story short is the state, even though we applied to say could we do it as a city, the state asked us to team up with the county. And so we did team up with the county, and we've had a couple events now. We had one in Cottage Grove that dealt with certain individuals that had to sign up for testing or to go have a COVID test. And now we have started through the month of November, every Monday is what I'm looking here. The next one will be Monday, November 9th, from 11 a.m. to 2 at the Environmental Center in Woodbury. Will be another opportunity for anybody that wants to get a COVID test. Now, I would encourage you to check out the city's website or even contact the Environmental Center in Woodbury, because they are doing it by appointment, and I'm looking at our staff just to make sure I'm saying that correctly. So it isn't that you can just drive up there, I believe, that you really do need an appointment. The first date of testing this week was earlier this past Monday, and I happened to talk to one of our individuals that was in charge of it out there. He was actually working a poll yesterday, one of the polling stations, and he told me that it was overwhelmingly successful in the sense that they were able to get a lot of people through, enough so where they are going to look at going forward, they may expand the hours to have it and then get additional tests. And then the other question that I've been getting asked a lot is, so how quickly do you get the tests? And he's telling me right now it's basically 48 to 72 hours. You'll get your notification back with the company that we're utilizing. So, and again, it is for not just for the city of Cottage Grove, it is for the rest of the county too. But I did want you to be aware that the city of Cottage Grove and our personnel are the ones that are actually running this program, because we're the ones that actually, our staff was the ones that came forth with this idea to support the health and well-being of the citizens of Cottage Grove. So kudos to all of those that are working on that, and Jennifer, please share, I know, our appreciation for the rest of the council. And then lastly, I spoke with our administrator about this, and kind of goes back to the COVID thing. So with COVID, this has been a really tough year for a lot of events, whether it's canceling 4th of July, fireworks, Strawberry Fest, Oktoberfest, all these different things that are happening. And there is a lot of things that we try to do, even going into the holiday season, Christmas tree lighting ceremonies, things like that, having, meeting up with Santa here at City Hall. Unfortunately, some of those are going to have to wait for a future year. And this is what I want to say, but we are coming up, and at our next council meeting right before Thanksgiving, our Parks and Rec department is going to provide us with some ideas and things that we're going to be doing to get people out of their homes, to still participate in the holiday season. You'll still see the city Christmas tree outside here is going to be fully lit up, but they'll have some other fun things with it. I'm not going to steal the thunder, but I just wanted the public to know that whether it's Christmas lights, driving around town and checking out the lights, whether it's going to be able to stopping by City Hall and doing other things around town, we are looking at creating opportunities for the public to still celebrate the season, but do it safely, as you were saying earlier. So stay tuned to the next city council meeting, where they'll give us a presentation on all the different events and things that are going to be happening in the community that are COVID safe, I guess is probably the best way to put it. Okay? So that was it for me. 13 on our agenda is a workshop, which is open to the public. We do not have one this evening. 14 is a workshop closed to the public. We don't have this evening. So we're to 15, which is adjournment. I'll need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Mills.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Thiede. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.